No, wait, this is bullshit. This is stupid. This is just all dumb.
Hello and welcome to This Is. Matt's not here.
He went to Rochester, and what we didn't tell him was that we booked him a one-way ticket. So, Matt, it was nice knowing you, but thankfully we have a real upgrade now.
Who can do all the Kyle jokes?
Oh, no, we don't need Kyle jokes. He took the hat with him. So you have a story. So what did you see that made you want to make a video on the Pixel?
Right, so me and some of the other team here went and saw Twisters this week, and one of the commercials that played before the previews was this Pixel ad. The Pixel 9 Pro is literally probably because everything is leaked. Their marketing is so very just like, well, someone will inevitably leak this, and then I guess we can just follow all those up with our official thing. I can't imagine that helps people want to buy these phones.
Now, that ad is really leaning on AI and Gemini, which I will be very clear, has almost nothing to do with Pixel. I get that AI is really a buzzy thing, and obviously, Google make Gemini, but in no way is Gemini unique to Pixel.
One of the things, they had some new leaks too, like just today, I think, about some of these features. Pixel screenshots, which is it's like Recall, except for it's only screenshots that you took yourself.
Who takes that many screenshots?
I'm trying to understand what AI goes into it, because what functionality does that offer over what Google Photos already does? Same thing with Magic Eraser. You can add people to group shots. The weird thing about Google making phones is that cool things we have to offer are software based, but then since they also make the main OS that competes with Apple, everything is just kind of being double dipped. And so their value proposition is kind of muddy. That would be why you have 5.5 in Canada and then 4.5 in the US and Japan market share.
In a lot of ways, I think about the Pixel team the same way I think about the Microsoft Surface team. It is an incredibly weird position to be a company who make the operating system and make the hardware compete with your ostensibly partners. Every time Google bring out a cool new feature for the Pixel, you gotta understand that Samsung are right there saying, hey, you're gonna put that on Galaxy AI, right? Let's take actually Microsoft for just a quick example, right? So obviously this year, one of their big selling points has been the Copilot Plus initiative. You can imagine that if they would have launched the Surfaces first with Copilot first, that would have been a really compelling value, but they can absolutely not do that because then suddenly HP and Lenovo and Dell and all of their OEMs are gonna be incredibly mad. There's no arguing, in my opinion, that Samsung has a very outsized sort of influence on the development of Android. I went to the Samsung Unpacked event a couple of weeks ago, and they've got Rick Osterloh, who's the head of Pixel, walking out on stage. We know that he's going to be announcing Pixel stuff a few weeks later.
I would say, yes, it's like the Microsoft thing, but it's also not like the Microsoft thing because the Windows PC space has a lot of manufacturers. With smartphones, it's you have Samsung, and then you have everyone else in a little tiny bubble, which is why I'm really rooting for Google. I want that value proposition to be there because I want the Android market. Part of why Android should be good is because you have this diverse competition of people pushing each other in different ways.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace. In a world of generic social media profiles, it's time to stand out. Show how legitimate and serious your brand is with a beautiful website from Squarespace.
Whether you're a content creator, small business, or you want to build a custom interactive shrine to Kamen Rider Ryuki, Squarespace has got you covered.
With hundreds of flexible templates, it's easy to find something to fit your specific needs and make it work for you. And you don't need to be an IT wizard either, because Squarespace's fluid engine drag and drop interface makes it easy to create exactly what you need.
I even made a little page for This Is. With Squarespace's super simple built-in store, we could sell tons of Kyle hats and cracked out of my George shirts, hypothetically because Matt won't let us. But you could sell your merch, content, or time for real.
Check out squarespace.com/thisis to get yourself a free 14-day trial, as well as 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. And thank you very much to Squarespace for sponsoring this episode of This Is. There have been so many stories over the years about this relationship when it comes to Google and Samsung. There was a real rumor going around that Samsung was strong-arming Google into doing a lot of things that they wanted. Otherwise, they were just gonna bail on Android entirely. Samsung has so much sort of pull when it comes to what happens with Android. And it's just a weird thing to me. When you look at the way the Pixel team tried to differentiate, which for a while was with cameras, when the Pixels first came out, the first Pixel 1, Pixel 2, Google were way ahead of everyone when it came to computational photography, which is why those early Pixels were head and shoulders the best photo cameras on the market. Not that the Pixels have gotten worse, but everyone's kind of caught up. No longer is the camera the clear reason to buy a Pixel. For a little while, Pixels had, software updates fastest, and they had the longest support and everything.
Yeah.
But then Samsung goes, oh, you know what? Yeah, how about 7 years?
7 years. Anything you can do, I can do also because
Exactly.
Because I have the gun to your head, right?
Right.
I think they look kind of cool. I like the camera bump. It feels much more stylish, like the way an iPhone is. I question what they're doing with like, okay, we're gonna make our own silicone. If you're gonna do that, like, why don't you like lock in? Why don't you whole ass it? I mean, Samsung as well. No one wants to buy the Samsungs with the Exynos. Everyone wants it with the Snapdragon.
That's amazing. Okay, so just a really quick kind of refresher. The Tensor chips that are made by Google, those are made and largely based on Samsung tech. None of the Tensor chips have been very good because here's the thing, Samsung have been, while they are a competitor in the sort of the space when it comes to not only fabbing but also designing chips, they're not like cutting edge, they're like kind of like a little bit behind. So what happens here is that, you know, the Pixel team have committed to their own chips, even though these Exynos chips are basically just Samsung chips with the Google badge on it. But if you look at what Samsung do, they make their own chips. But guess what? Samsung understand that their chips aren't as good and they ship Qualcomm in most of their phones, most of the world. That would be like if I wanted to say, hey, all of our This Is videos are going to be shot at Linus's studio because Linus's studio is better, even though it's a huge pain to have to go back and forth to Linus's studio all the time and also to sneak in after hours when he's not looking. What Google are doing, it seems like on the top level, smart idea. I feel like they're still so far behind. It's like the Tensor chips are an actively bad part of the Pixel experience when you compare it to the Qualcomm stuff. They don't even have the argument that they had the longer software support. There's so many things that I wish that could be better when it comes to the Pixel line, but so many of their unique special features are held back. It's just such a hard value proposition to go with the Pixel. Even the software, is it that much better than something like One UI? I don't think so. Pretty much, I would argue for almost the entire time that Google have been making Pixels, they've had at least one claim to fame. So for a while, it was the camera. They also had the A line, which for quite some time was a terrific budget device. Even like the quote unquote regular like Pixel 8 or something, it's still like, I would say, competitive. I will give you the Pixels do tend to go on sale pretty aggressively within a few months. But guess what? Samsung phones go on sale too, right?
I guess my question then is, to make this more viable, it should be the price point, because you need to justify putting the less good chip in there. Google, this is not like the thing that they're making their money off of. This is like a fun little side project for them. And I'm like, if you want to have a fun little side project where you're just like endlessly shaking hands with Samsung, like go ahead, do it. But like, bump a couple $100 off of the price so people will be like, oh, actually, that's a good deal. Maybe I want to try that.
If any of you in the audience are users or fans of Pixel, I just honestly, just answer me this question. What about the Pixel at this point in 2024? I'm not talking about a few years ago, whatever. I'm talking about like right now. What is compelling about a Pixel? There's a lot of stuff that like in a vacuum I like about Pixels. You know, I like the clean software. I agree with you. I generally like the hardware. It's pretty nice. The cameras are still very good, even though they're not necessarily amazing or like incredibly better than everyone else. I feel like we all kind of give the Pixel team a little bit of like a pass. The Pixel team is run by Google, who's one of the biggest companies in the world. This is not the Pixel 1 or 2. We're on the Pixel 9. They should figure this shit out. It just drives me crazy that we're still paying a pretty substantial amount of money for phones that have substandard hardware, specifically when it comes to like the silicon. If they were really wanting to lean into, you know, this is the AI phone like that ad had shown, then why are we not getting anything exclusive, right? Like every time they roll out any of these features, it's not only across pretty much all of Android, but it's specifically almost always landing on Samsung. So it's like, for me, I'm like, well, why would I not just keep using my Z Flip or my S24 or whatever, right? There's something that's not working here. And if Google really want the Pixel to be a true like iPhone competitor, they want to be, you know, fully vertically integrated from top to bottom, I feel like they're gonna have to make some kind of like bold move. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think that there's the political will inside Google to say, hey, f you, Samsung, guess what? This is a new feature that's only on Pixel. Like, I think that's such a hard thing.
That's not worth it. Keep making the phones, make them cheaper. I think maybe where they should be going for is like, we are like the most solidest mid-range. You're gonna be impressed. You're never gonna wanna look at an A series again, right? iPhone doesn't really, like, they have like the SE, but like go hard on that mid-range, because then you don't have to worry that you don't have like the latest like Qualcomm chip. You've decided this is your segment and you're going hard. You're going hard on that price, and you're like, look at these awesome cameras you get for this price.
And they have the A series, like the Pixel A line, you know, that's what these are supposed to do. The problem is that for a while they were really aggressive and terrific phones, but now they've kind of crept up in price.
What it needs to be is just like I can't argue with that price.
Yes, there's a big difference in my opinion between a $500 budget phone and a $350, especially if you look at something like the latest CMF phone. That is an amazing phone for $200. Nothing are out here making a killer budget phone, and the cheapest new Google phone I can buy is $500. I want Pixel to succeed. I think we both do, right? But the problem is that there's no more excuses. Pixel's not a new brand when we're on number 9, and you can't even argue like, oh, they don't get enough budget. Like, I see Pixel ads everywhere. It's not like there's a lack of people knowing what the Pixel is. And they try to push it as like, oh, it's the Google phone and it's the AI phone and all this kind of stuff. And that's all fine. The way that they're trying to market these things isn't unique or special when those same features are on lots of other devices, including, of course, iPhones. Gemini works on fucking everything. I'm mad. I've just realized the more we talk here, the more I'm mad at the missed potential. Google have to play so nice with Samsung and give every one of their cool new features to Samsung either first or the exact same time. What is the point of making the Pixels? Like, is there any kind of long-term vision? Mind you, right before the event, maybe they blow our minds with some crazy nonsense. I don't understand why the Pixel exists in this middle sort of spot. Are they gonna go all in on foldables? Are they gonna go all in on budget phones? Just do something, because it just feels like it's just mid, and mid is not good. Oh, I'm fired up. It's like none of these features, like the screenshot tool, that's kind of neat, I guess. Is that really something that's gonna sell Pixels?
It's gonna be on Google Photos.
Exactly. What the hell are these crazy pills everyone's taking here? Let us know in the comments.
Google lock in. I told you how.
Any plan would be a good one, because what's going on right now, I'm gonna tell you, I don't think is working. But let us know in the comments. Are we completely off base? Is the Pixel taking over the world? Is that 5% really, in fact, 5% of the coolest people on the planet Earth? I don't know.
Would you switch from your iPhone?
Would you switch from literally anything to a Pixel? Because I'll tell you, kind of a tough sell.